The sum of your greatest achievements is not what defines you as a man. Now, conversely, neither is your worst failures. Now, some people like to define themselves by those areas, and they measure themselves against other people by using those kinds of areas, like something great that they did in their past somebody else hasn't done, or maybe even a failure that they have, a weakness that they have that somebody else doesn't have. But really, that's not what makes a man. Who you are in the seemingly insignificant, boring, mundane majority of your life really is who you are as a man, and it really is what makes or breaks a man. Hey guys, I am Caleb with Nebraska Farm Boy. This is something I've really been wrestling through in my own personal life. I'd say that I face life sort of like a sprinter, which is not a good thing, by the way, because life is a marathon, not a sprint. But I can do some pretty impressive things for a short period of time. I can look good. I can, put up a good front. But when the pressure's on, when it's just grinding day in, day out, I don't always do so good. And I've just been trying to really work on these smaller areas. It's not about the whole war. It's about fighting these smaller battles. Doing the right thing, and that's not just not doing the wrong thing, but it's actually doing the right thing even when it doesn't seem to matter and nobody's going to commend you for that. It's rising to the occasion even when it seems like it's a small, insignificant thing that you don't want to do. It's about doing the hard thing, even when the easier thing, well, obviously is easier, and that really is what makes a man. Even when it seems insignificant, that is what is building up and making the person that you are going to be. There is no such thing as a part-time man. Who you are will eventually be exposed. You can put up a good front, a good face, but who you are on the inside, who you are in the mundane, unimportant areas of life will eventually, show itself in important areas of life. It will show itself to people. They will see that you are a cowardly, lazy, perpetual adolescent. And that's not to say that we don't all have faults. That by no means. Nobody's been perfect since Jesus walked the earth, and all of us are going to have. We're going to fail at times. We're going to have faults. That's just the way it is. If you don't think you have faults, that's probably your pride is probably your first and greatest fault. So work on that first, and then we can come back and have the rest of this discussion. The key to it all really is you can't stay there. You've got to fight through these failures. You can't just be content. You'd be like, oh, I'm pretty good in most areas. I've got a few faults, but whatever. We've all got faults. You cannot be content to just stay there. You've got to fight through those faults. You got to, fight the good fight of the faith every single day. Rise up to the occasion, even when you don't feel like it. Even in the small, mundane areas where it doesn't seem like it really matters, nobody's going to commend you for it. If you allow yourself to slip in small areas, you'll probably also allow yourself to slip in large areas eventually. Jesus said that he who is faithful in a little is also faithful in much. So also he who is dishonest in a little is also dishonest in much. Don't underestimate the importance of the small battles in your life. You need to strive for greatness, strive for excellence, but at the same time, remember that true greatness can only be achieved by constantly fighting the small battles in our life, the minor annoyances, the work that we don't want to do, and all that stuff. That's how true greatness is achieved, through fighting to do the right thing even when it doesn't seem worth it, because that's what makes a man out of you. True greatness can only be achieved when we are diligent to do the right thing, even in the small things. So there you have it. That's what I've got for you today. That's just something that's really been on my mind. It can be easy to look around and think that your life is boring, it's not worth it, you're not doing great things, but really you've got to remember that what you're doing now is preparing you for great things in the future. True greatness is never achieved overnight. It's the product of years and years of hard work. So don't underestimate the importance of the small battles in your life, and remember that if you are diligent and faithful in a little, then God will reward you and you will be faithful in much. So without any further ado, we will see you next time.